Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangle Tech Talk series. Today we'll be discussing how Captive Portal helps you manage all of your bring your own devices on your network. My name is Shannon Miles, and I'm a part of the product marketing team here, and I'll be your host today. I also have with us our Director of QA, John Coffin, and he will be doing the presentation and the demonstration of this application and answering any questions along the way. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. If you have any audio issues, please just use the audio panel to select your preference. If you select to use a phone, you will need to dial in and use the access code provided. Just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you will have the option to rewatch or revisit areas that you need to follow up on. We'll be answering questions throughout the presentation, so please just submit the questions through our Q&A box, and as always, you can send questions to sales@untangle.com or support@untangle.com. Now, before I move on, I just want to reiterate, this is a very highly technical webinar, so if you're not familiar with the Untangle solution or networking concepts, I would suggest you take a look at our 101 webinar series that covers more high-level topics. And you can view a full list of our webinars, past and future, on our website. And with that, I'll pass it to John.
Well, thanks, Shannon. Captive Portal is a relatively simple idea, but it can be used in very complex ways to control your network. Some of the reasons to use Captive Portal are for having legal notice to your network users. Common use of this is for like libraries and restaurants where you have public access to the internet and you want people to understand that they need to monitor what they're doing and not create some kind of condition for the place that's providing the internet access. Some other common uses for that is you have multiple users on your computers at the office and you want to identify traffic based on who is on that computer. And another reason is to limit connections to assigned users. There's like so much time they need to be on the net and so forth. And those are the main reasons to use Captive Portal. What I'll do is kind of start off with the more simple cases and kind of work our way up to the more complicated cases which require multiple features of Untangle. First of all, we'll kind of go at just a basic legal notice on the network, just to tell someone, hey, we monitor the network, you're welcome to use our internet, please have common courtesy while using our network. And it's fairly simple to set up. If we look at the Untangle right here, this is kind of the simplest case. We'll have some kind of web filtering, the Captive Portal itself, and reporting. We'll move on to Directory Connector later in this webinar on the more complex cases. So let's take a look at some of the settings we're going to have for the simple case. We're going to have a capture rule, and the default rule works actually pretty well. It will capture any LAN interfaces on the Untangle. Anything that's basically not internet access will be able to be captured. And if we look at the default rule, it's really simple. It just captures any kind of LAN interface on the network. And let's get rid of that. Now let's look at the type of captive pages that we have. This is the message someone on our network is going to first see when they try to access the network. We can customize it in here by giving it a title, some kind of welcome text, and some kind of message that we want to give. And you can use a real basic message saying, all traffic is monitored for violations of our network policies, and click continue. The nice thing about this is you can actually see the page without getting a separate PC on the network to look at the page itself. You just click on the preview. This is what users will see, and they just click continue and they can go on to the internet. Just to show you what it looks like for the users, I actually have a setup here. So if I just go to, for example, CNN.com, oh, sorry, and we'll get the capture page, and I'll read the message. I'll say, oh, okay, I have to watch out what I'm doing here. So I just click continue, and I'm able to go to my web page that I was looking to go to. And that's a one-time use until the timer for your captive portal runs out. And we'll go over that in a few minutes. And that is basically the simplest case. It will have the least amount of work, and you'll be able to get kind of a reporting on what's going on in your network. So if we go over here to reports, we can see someone logged in. We can see, where they went. But we really don't know much about the user because the user is just anonymous. They have no name connection with it. So in order to kind of ramp up our captive portal to the next level, we can go with something like where we have a login and password, a username and password. And luckily, we can do this all in Untangle because we have a local directory system on there. So if we go to our Untangle, we can see that. So we go to local directory, and we're just going to create a local user called test test. Now, in the ways you can use this in the business, some people have used this for, like, they've set up a separate login for each of the hotel rooms. They've set up logins for different employees. Let's say you have a small business and you don't have, a Microsoft domain controller where people have to log into computers. All the computers are pretty much self-logging in. You can actually create a login for every user, every employee in your company, and they can log in separately so you can track the internet usage of that particular person. Let's take a look at that. We'll just set up our captive portal to use logins. So we'll go here to captive page. We want to have a basic login. And again, we can customize the page to anything we want. And then we're going to do user authentication so we can identify the traffic of a specific user. And we're going to use local directory. So if we go ahead and save those changes, I'll go ahead and go to my example. So first I'm going to have to log out. And we just do that with that. Oh, sorry, wrong page. There we go. Okay, now we've logged out. So again, we'll try to go to CNN.com. I just picked that. And now we have a login page. So I'm going to identify myself. In this case, I'm test with password test. And I'm able to go to my page. So now anywhere I go, I can identify myself on the network. For example, I can go to, even yahoo.com, and it will identify myself on the website. So let's go back to our Untangle, and let's see. So we can see that I'm currently logged in as test. This is when I logged in, and I can even log that person out as the administrator. So if we go to reports now, we can see, let me take out my anonymous. So let's take out anonymous. So I can see that I'm first time I've logged in. I can also see, where I've gone as a user. And So that makes it really nice for small businesses that want to be able to track their employees each separately. Um, with that ability, once you've logged in through Captive Portal, you can also use Policy Manager to manage those users, even though they're local users to the Untangle. You can direct them to different types of racks that have different permissions to go to different parts of the internet. It's quite useful for limiting the internet so people are not shopping and going on their Facebook and so forth. A more complex version of this Captive Portal is if you use Radius or AD servers. If you're a large organization and you're using Radius, which is a user accounting system, or Microsoft Active Directories, you can actually manage people through their existing accounts on those particular services. So we'll go back to our Untangle. And in this case, we have Directory Connector. We have to set up. I have Active Directory. I've set up an Active Directory that we use for our system and logged in. And now we can change our Captive Portal user authentication. Let me log out our user, log them out. And what we're going to do is now use Active Directory instead. So we'll go ahead and apply those changes, and we'll go ahead and try it out. So we're going to go to cnn.com, and we're, of course, blocked again. So we'll type in our login. And we're able to log in. So now we have identified myself on the network by the username. So if we look at, you'll see that my particular machine is being identified by my Active Directory username. So now I'm able to track that person's traffic by the username. So if we look at our reports for web policy, and we're going to go to by user, and we see, we have, where is John here? Oh, John's right here. So I've used very little data at this point. So I can identify that user using Captive Portal. Let's see here. So that's, and then Radius works very similarly. I can show you where the settings are for that. Radius is almost identical. You'll go into Active Directory, you'll set up your Radius controller and enable it, and you can even do tests on it. And then for your Captive Portal, you just need to identify that you're going to be using Radius for user authentication. It's pretty easy to set up, not really complex, especially if you already have it in your organization. Makes it really useful. One thing I kind of briefly went on was for users to log out. A lot of times, if you're sharing computers on a network between different employees, it's important that they log out so the next person comes in, they're not using their identification for the internet. And a lot of times what the easiest way to do that is to give people just a shortcut to that link. And it's really just the IP address of your Untangle and capture and then log out. And that will log the person out and we'll give identification to it. So a lot of times what we do is we set up shortcuts on people's computers so they just know they need to click on a particular bookmark to log out of the computer so their internet usage stops at that point. One of the, so some of the more, sorry, skip one point. So we kind of covered a lot of the types of capture pages, but also you can also regulate what kind of device is actually blocked by the captive portal and they have to log in. And one of the biggest uses for that is a lot of times people bring their own phones, it's kind of bring your own device, and those are generally their phones, their iPads, their tablets, and you want to have a way to either capture that so they have to log in with their user identification, or you just want to give them some kind of warning that the internet is monitored. And some of the times that's more difficult because it's hard to identify that device from an existing laptop or so ever. Luckily, our Untangle's captive portal has some unique tools to do that. And I can give an example here. So we take a look at the capture rules. Of course, we have the default rule that comes, and you can use that or not. But you can also create custom rules for your capture pages. And I've done this to capture iPhones and Androids, and also iPads on it. You can do it with, I usually use various rules because not any one rule is 100% effective. So I've made, kind of over the years, a couple of rules that work pretty well to capture all types of mobile devices. For here, I want to capture all the iPhones. Interesting fact is that most iPhones have the name iPhone in the client host name. So one tricky way to do it is you just say for any client host name that has, I put a wildcard and then home as in iPhone, I'm able to capture it pretty well. I'd say this rule is probably 98% effective in a network because you'll be surprised how many iPhones still have the word iPhone in the host name. People tend not to change that. For the small percentage of people that do change their iPhone name, the HTTPS header that's sent out by the browser inside the mobile phone identifies the type of device, and that's called something called the client user OS. And if you put, again, home for iPhone, it will capture those few that have changed their host name. It's kind of a sleight of hand there to capture those things. Same goes with iPads. They work very similarly. You just need to have the wildcards in there and capture iPad. Androids are kind of the same boat. Most have the word Android and some random number behind them. That's pretty much the default for all Android phones. So again, another way to capture it, very similar to the iPhone, where you use the host name and then the wildcards, and then I used a portion of the word Android. Similarly, the HTTPS header information also has the word Android in it. And by using Android with some wildcards, I'm able to capture any kind of Android mobile devices. This also works for mobile Windows phones. You just have to use the word Windows. It's actually in the header. So that's and you can build rules up this way for different devices. If you have particular devices on your network that you want to allow to get through the captive portal without capturing, you can also do captive rules where they're, instead of captured, they're passed automatically. They'll never see the captive port. Common things to use this for are things like if you have DVRs on your network for security cameras and so forth, you don't want them to have to, there's no automated way to do the captive portal page through them, so you want to bypass them. You can also do it with IP addresses or where they're going to. Maybe there's a particular website that people shouldn't have to, maybe it's one of your own websites. They wouldn't have to go through the captive portal page. You can create a rule where going to a specific web page is bypass the captive portal. So now we've kind of covered different kinds of capture pages and also different ways of capturing people. There's some more complex ways to do this, and oh, sorry, missed one area. So you can also limit the time on using your network. This is commonly used in like restaurants, coffee houses. You don't want people to be on there all the time. So what they do is they put a timeout, and you can base this on pretty much any amount of time, up to 1 day. And what it does, it makes the person log out. And using a combination of the rules, you can limit it so they can't log in again until the day passes. And we'll go through that in just a second. But what happens is they'll get the capture page, and usually it's kind of an indicator, you know, that's enough of our network usage. You might try to do something else, or maybe buy something else if you're at a restaurant. So we have some more advanced pages that require a little bit of minor tweaking for your particular situation. That's up on our wiki. We have quite a few use cases on there. So we'll go over them real quick. We have some sample pages here, and there's some screenshots of different pages that you can do. And these are completely modifiable. When you download the code, you can modify them as you will, and then they're just uploaded to the Untangle through the custom page. So if we go to our captive page, there's something called a custom page. And this allows you to load the custom page that you select. My suggestion is to start off with one of our pre-made custom pages, and then once you have that working, go ahead and modify that as you wish. The logos, maybe some of the code inside on how it works, but definitely use the page the way it is, and then start modifying it. One of the most common ones is, we were talking about the timeout. Well, people want to restrict it. We actually have a custom page for that. And it allows you to only have the person log in once. Once their timeout's out, you can actually set when they're allowed to come back in, and there's some code you can modify very simply for your own. So we have quite a few pages there for you to try out if you're looking for something specific. One of our popular ones is the PayPal. Some people want, in order for people to use the internet at their location, there's a certain cost involved, and the easiest way to do that is through a PayPal account. And they allow, so you can buy internet time directly on the captive portal page. It's quite useful. Some people, I've noticed, they've used that in like internet cafes, so they don't even have to do any kind of money transactions. It's all done over the internet. It's quite simple to use. And let's take a look. Let's see here. That's kind of a quick run through on the captive portal page. You know, again, definitely a lot on the wiki that can help you out. There's a lot of instructions on there. We also have a lot of custom pages. The forums are quite useful for the different things. You know, if you have a particular question that you're looking to do and stuff like that, definitely take a look at the I'm trying to stretch out my window here so I can start taking some questions.
Yeah, we had some questions, John. People wanted to know what version you were demoing, and I believe that was the new 11.2.
Yes, almost everything is exactly the same. This is 11.2, which has reporting actually built into the individual apps that allow the graphs. We will be releasing 11.2 fairly soon. Probably initial release will be towards the end of August, beginning of September.
Yeah, and we are hosting a community webinar at the end of August to go over all of the updates and new features in 11.2, so you can find that on our website under webinars. John, it looks like we have a couple questions coming in.
Sure. I'm taking a look through here. Associate. Okay, first one is there a way to associate IP or MAC address so that it always authenticates with computer? Unfortunately not, but what you can do is create some, you can actually make those IP addresses static so they don't get the captive portal page. You probably could do that in a custom page, I imagine, but it would require a little bit of coding of one of our custom pages.
I think there's a question about upgrading from 9.4. Just a reminder to everyone, 9.4 is end of life in September 15th. So we do recommend you upgrade to at least 11. Obviously, you can upgrade to 11.2 as well. This is a fresh install, so you will need probably some assistance from support to make sure everything crosses over correctly. So just a reminder, 9.4 has an end of life in September, so and you get all the new benefits and stuff for free if you upgrade to 11. So we highly recommend you do that as soon as possible.
Just to be clear, the backups from 9.4 do not work on any later release. So it's pretty much kind of unfortunately dead end on 9.2. It had to do with the networking being completely rewritten and required it. So some of the other questions, I'm just going to go real quickly. Allow host names of the domain name of the PC. You could create rules with certain host names that would not need the captive portal page. It's pretty easy to do that. It just requires creating a capture rule. If the user is accessing. You know, the simple part of it is HTTPS is encrypted traffic, and that's the whole purpose of that, so people can't spy on your traffic. And the only way to get around that is to decrypt it, and that's why HTTPS Inspector is. Most connections will be captured by a capture page for HTTPS on the first thing. The problem is people will get a security error because they're going from HTTPS page and they're being redirected to an HTTP page. So there is a little bit of learning curve that you have to kind of work with your users on that. It does work out. Is the timeout cumulative? It is not. So you can't log out and then log back in. It's kind of a total session. So if you log out early, it doesn't really keep track of that in the next time. Someone had a question about, we talked about 1 day. There is a limitation of 1 day on the timeout. There's some technical reasons why you can't go beyond timing out over a day, so it's kind of unfortunate. But if you're only logging in once a day, it doesn't seem like that much of an issue for most people. Yes, captive portal page is rack specific. So if you have Policy Manager and you have several racks, you can just capture some of the traffic based on your policies. That makes it really useful. In fact, I use it that way. I have all the mobile devices, mobile access points connected to one interface. That interface goes to one specific rack, and on that rack I have captive portal. So only my wireless access gets the captive portal page. Let's see. Any captive portal have with remote server with multiple levels of users? Let's see. You can enable AD and directory connect, and local directory, but you have to have two captive portals on different racks. You can't enable both AD and local for the same capture page. Yes, 11.2 does real-time reporting, as you saw in that. You can get results instantly. And does Active Directory Control support? So with 11.2, AD connector will support secured connections. That's a new feature for 11.2. And well, we got a lot of questions when everybody wants to upgrade to 11.2. So as we have done all releases in the past, you'll be able to get the new fresh install right away. We do rolling rollouts of the upgrades, so we'll take a small portion at a time. A lot of reasons to do this, just to make sure we don't have any difficulties. Also to balance the load on our upgrade servers so we don't indicate. This is a fairly large upgrade, so it will take some time for it to download. How many local users can I create? I haven't worked it out. I don't think we actually have a limitation. It's in the thousands. I've actually created personally 10,000 users on a local directory, and it worked fine. So I'm not sure if you need more than that. The problem it gets into is managing that many entries. And let's see if there's any other questions. Let's see. Just if anyone sees a question, they.
Yeah, some of them are getting a little specific. If you have specific instances, please contact support. They'd be happy to take a look and see how they can help you out.
One of the questions here is, can you pass a group of addresses? The captive page rules allow you to put in network, not necessarily groups, but a range of addresses. So for example, you could do IP address 10 through 100 would not get the path. You just create those, and you can have multiple rules in there. Of course, as all our rules, the first one that matches with that particular traffic is the rule that gets hit. So you do want to manage your sorting of rules carefully. Generally, you want to put the pass rules first, and then any kind of capture rules towards the bottom. So anyone that you want to bypass the captive portal page will be able to. So is this bring your own device part of the new version of 11.2? No, actually those rules have been there since probably, I would say 10.0. I've actually used those iPhone and Android capture rules since the beginning of 10.0, so it can be used in earlier versions. Oh, so about the option on the capture page to check for a root certificate. If you're running HTTPS Inspector, with 11.2, we can actually detect if you have the local Untangle certificate for doing HTTPS inspection, and can require that the person install it to get past the captive portal page. So it's kind of a useful way of distributing your certificate so you can have better better scrutiny on your network, even on HTTPS traffic.
All right, there are a lot of questions about this SysAdmin Day photo contest, so I'll just talk about that right now. We're holding a SysAdmin Day is on Friday, July 31st. So in honor of that, we are hosting a photo contest. You can check it out on our Facebook page, and we're giving away some awesome prizes to the top 5 photos. So check it out there. And a lot of people are asking, if it's available in other countries. Unfortunately, no, it's for United States residents only, so we apologize for that. But we would still love to receive your photos. We think they're awesome to look at, and just I know a lot of our Facebook followers love to see them too. So.
Oh, some of the questions here, can you set a policy that certain logins can obtain certain gateways? You can't really determine which gateway it's going to go out because that's at the TCP level, but you can create policies using web filter on individual racks to what type of access they have to the internet. Someone asked about VLANs. Yes, VLANs on the Untangle basically act like any interface. So if you create a VLAN on your Untangle and match the VLAN to, let's say, a wireless access point, you can select that VLAN on your capture rule and say, I want to capture everything on this particular VLAN. It's quite simple. We've really tried to simplify VLANs as much as possible. It's kind of a complex networking, but it's very useful.
All right. You see any more questions, John?
Let's see here. Oh no, the PayPal page setup. Those custom pages work with any 11.0 or above. You don't have to have 11.2. Let's see, any others here real quick. I think that's about it that I see that we haven't answered.
Yeah. As we've mentioned before, if you have any questions, please just submit, an email to support@untangle.com. We'd be happy to answer those questions. If you have any sales questions about, your contract or your subscription, please contact sales@untangle.com. We thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you, John, for the presentation. Again, we have tons of resources, the Untangle Wiki and the Untangle forums that can help you out. We do have another Tech Talk next month. A lot of the questions were around 9.4 and upgrading, so we recommend you registering for that and listening to that next month. John will go over, some to-dos and things to watch out for when upgrading. And you can check out our upcoming webinars on our website at untangle.com/webinars. And we thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great day, everyone.